When I showed off the demo for Mark of the Deep in a previous video, I talked about how I thought this was some sort of an action roguelite in the same vein as Hades. If I only had read the description, I would have seen that the actual game is a Metroidvania with Souls-like elements. While both of these descriptions are true, Mark of the Deep has more Souls than Metroidvania. Metroidvania has some key requirements that are actually missing from this game, and while this can be more forgiving at times than most Souls-like games, some of the mechanics make it more frustrating. And I did like this game, like I've said many times before, said it in my last video that I put out pretty recently, and I did make it all the way to the end, but there are some things that miss the mark. So let me hook you in to the deep of this review. All right, that's enough, let's get into it. I'm gonna start off with the cons this time so I can end off on a more positive note. You will notice immediately that there is no map. I'm not someone who's very rigid about what makes and doesn't make a Metroidvania, but having a map is pretty essential in making a game like this. Mark of the Deep starts off pretty linear as you go through maze and maze of enemies while you learn more about the combat and the story, but after a couple hours it opens up into multiple different directions to choose from. Your main character, by the name of Rookie, finds the ancient crossroads, which is basically the Firelink shrine of this game if you're a Souls fanatic. All NPCs and merchants are here, and it is where you split off into your 4 cardinal directions. There are main and side quests with backtracking, so I don't know why they didn't include a map, or at least some sort of mini map or a waypoint system to track side quests or even main quests. This means you basically have to be really good at memory to finish a quest or find a shortcut. I didn't play Death's Door, and I told that this was the same concept, but let me know if it worked better in that game than it did in this one. There are also some issues within the combat that led to the frustration that I talked about earlier. Rookie can use light attack and strong attacks with this hook. Strong attacks can be charged. He then gets a few guns that use SP that can be recharged by hitting enemies. There are some other abilities related to his status as a Mark Keeper, but I will talk about that later. The issue I have comes across with the dodge roll. Even when dodging as best as I could, I found myself still getting hit by attacks. There seems to be an insane amount of tracking on enemy attacks, and this may be more on me and maybe more of a skill issue, but there can be a level of cheapness when being attacked. There is also no ability to cancel out of animation, so once you dodge, you're basically locked in, and enemies basically lock onto you and are very good at hitting their mark. And this is more of a minor nitpick, but I do not like how you need to buy a certain amount of items to get another item. An example of this is with the trinket system. Trinkets are basically items that the Rookie can equip that increase things like damage with the hook and guns, increases damage at full health or at 20% health, a bubble when you consume a potion, or making your hook bigger to hit more enemies. They each have a number of slots they can take up, but you can buy bags to increase how many you can carry at one time. You have to have a certain amount of trinkets to buy to allow this to happen. And this is the case with other items like health and SP gems, and I wish that everything was just available to purchase and I could just grind out the gold for it. But again, this is just a minor nitpick, so it's not really the biggest deal in conjunction with the other problems that I have with this game. But not everything is all bad in this game. Going back to the combat, there is a way to circumvent some of the frustrations in them, and that is by turning on God mode, and you are invincible from all damage, and the only downside is that you won't get any achievements. And I'm not an achievement hunter, so there wasn't really a big problem for me, but if you are an achievement hunter, you are going to have to deal with some of the issues in the combat. And something I didn't mention that is a bit of an issue is that the enemies, even the most basic enemies, are a bit of hook sponges or bullet sponges. Their enemy health seems to be way higher than it needs to be, so that may be a bit of a problem, but if you turn on things like God mode, it may not be a problem for you. This is basically your easy mode for your Souls fans. If you want an easy mode, here it is right here for you. And I used this when I got so frustrated on a group of enemies when trying to run back to a section of the map, or when I spent way too much time on a boss, because once you get into some of the later phases of these boss fights, they get insanely crazy, and I died so many times that I just had to turn it on. And I know that may be a skill issue, and it may be me saying that I'm not good enough to get through this game without using things like God mode, but I had to do it just so I could get through this game, and it made it more fun and it made it more enjoyable for me. So, and isn't that what playing games is all about. And this is also great for grinding out gold without the fear of death, and can easily be turned off. But again, achievements will not be available once you turn this on initially. But what's also nice with this game is that you don't actually do any kind of corpse run. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what a corpse run is, basically when you die, you will lose everything that you have gathered up to that point. Using Dark Souls in this example, you will lose all of your souls and you have to go back and get those souls. Many times I would run to open up a shortcut and then die just so I can get that shortcut open. That, coupled with no corpse runs and God mode, helped ease my mind during some of the more difficult sections of this game, which is why I said it was a little bit more forgiving than a standard Souls-like, because there are some options and accessibility features that are in there that help you ease your pain and help ease your frustration as you get through this game if you are enjoying what you are seeing. I also really like the story and the setting of this game. I've not played too many pirate games, and there's a good amount of lore the more you progress throughout this. You are a pirate in a crew that suddenly crashes on an island and appears out of nowhere. The corruption of this island turned those on it to fish-like creatures that lose their sanity over time. But you, the rookie, are unaffected. That's because you are a mark keeper tasked with discovering the secrets of the island and driving out the corruption and freeing your crew. Your mark keeper abilities consist of you using a grappling hook, diving through the water to get through portals to get to different areas of the map, and a speed boost that helps you get through areas and helps you kind of break through walls or even enemies, so to speak. These all work great and contribute to the narrative as you grow in power to fight the darkness of this island. And I'm a big fan of the character art, which is why this reminded me a lot of Hades. The devs, who are actually out of Brazil, took their time to give the main and side characters that you interact with some uniqueness to them. Though there are some NPCs that don't have some of the same art, there's also some good amount of voice acting, although I think there are probably maybe 3 or 4 of the same voice actors throughout, because I was noticing that some of the NPCs have a lot of repeated dialogue with some of the same voice lines, some of the same voice actors with just a different accent. But again, it's a small indie studio and they're doing what they can. The art looks great and they have a good amount of voice acting to boot. And I won't spoil the ending, but I will let you know that some of the quests that you do get matter more than others. Keep that in mind as you're exploring, backtracking throughout your game. Even though the biomes are a bit of the same from the way you navigate them, each level has its own personality, color palette, and enemies to fit the style of each level. One might have snow and the high peaks, and the other may be a deep purple with a lot of plant light in the abyssal forest. I really enjoyed going through each of the different dungeons, just trying to figure out what kind of enemies that you will encounter in this game. So I do like this game. As at this point, we're actually stopped writing the script for this game. I actually wrote in Yap It Up. I'm actually going to label this chapter of this section the Yap Session, because I kind of want to convey some of my own personal feelings about this game, because as I was playing more and more and even got to the end, I was still feeling a bit mixed. I wish there was a mixed button on Steam, but I think I would still recommend this game. So I'll give you an example of how I feel. So imagine if you are eating a meal and you think everything's pretty good. I really like the ingredients of this, but you feel like there's just something missing. There's a little bit missing from this dish that would turn it from a good dish to a great dish. And that's what I feel that is within Mark of the Deep. This is a good game. It runs well. It runs well on the Steam Deck as well. I didn't have any issues aside from maybe like a slight bug from turning on God mode, but that's a very specific use case. But other than that, this game runs great. I really enjoyed the combat. I really enjoyed the art style. I enjoyed the ideas present with this game. There's just something missing. Some tweaks to the combat, a map, some of the enemy health being turned down. Those are those little bit of spices or ingredients that you would add in to make this dish really and truly great. And so that's why I feel so passionately mixed on this game, because I really like it, but man, I'm frustrated playing this game sometimes. I had to put it down for a little bit, but had to pick it up so I can actually get through this game and finish it for a review. So again, if you think I'm being too negative at the outset, I don't know. It's my personal feelings about this game. I'm just some guy on the internet. That's how I feel, and that's how I do these reviews. I want to always have a personal touch when I do this review, even for games that I get for free like I did for this game. So shout out to the devs for allowing me to play this for free and providing me with the key, but I do want to have my own personal experience with this game in there. But I do like Mark of the Deep. I do think it is a good game, but there are just some things that are missing. I feel like the devs could add in pretty easily to turn this game into a great game. But I want to know from you. I want to know if After watching this review or watching other people review this game, how do you feel about Mark of the Deep? If you're someone that has played it already, let me know your feelings. Do you feel the same way as I do? Do you feel that there's just something missing for this game, or are you just that much better at games than me, which you probably are? If I just need to get better at playing this game, and maybe I'll go back to it after some time and try to do a no god mode run and try to actually get through the game and try to actually unlock some achievements. But I want to know from you down in the comments. I always love having a discussion with you guys down in the comments to know what your feelings are about games like these. And again, I thank you so much for the devs at Mad Mimic for providing me with a key to give my honest thoughts on it, and I appreciate you for watching. And if you want to see more reviews like these, see more indie roundup videos or my series on UFO 50 or anything else I have going on related to indie games, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. My name is Chike, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.